Hi, my name is Jessica Meekum, and today my speech is going to be why I believe that the government should give the students more aid. One of the main things that we need as students is financial stability, physical wellness, mental wellness, and emotional support. Now, if we don't have all four of these things, we all know once one fails, the others start to decline too. So it's very important that all of these things align in order for us to be successful in our lives. When we don't have financial support or financial help, we tend to work more, taking away from our study time, our attending class time, and even our personal time, which is also very important when you're trying to get a college degree full time. We all know that stress equals poor decisions, which leads to more financial stress because of those bad decisions that you tend to make. And it's reported that 55% of these problems cause them to not buy a required textbook. I mean, 55% of students are so stressed out and strapped for cash that they can't even buy their own textbooks. What's the chance? And now, in today's age, it is possible to succeed in class without your textbook, with all the online resources that we have. But honestly, think of those classes that base themselves out of those textbooks. Is success even possible if we don't have one? Also, 53% reported missing a class and 25% reported dropping a class just because they were financially strapped for money. That is a huge percent of people that are missing classes. We all know that class attendance can be hard when you're working a full-time job because clearly your job comes first. Your job's your livelihood, and sometimes there's just not an option. However, to drop a class, a quarter of the student population is having to drop a class and prolong their education just because they can't afford to do it. That is a sad statistic. Also, with no money comes no food. 48% of students reported food insecurity in the past 30 days, including 22% with very low levels of food security that qualify them as hungry or starving. With that, more than half of all first-generation students, which is about 56%, were food insecure compared to 45% of students who had at least one parent that attended college. So, even the jump from 56% to 45% is still pretty scary, which means most families just can't afford to help put their college student through school. However, food is necessary for the body to function, which means if you're not fully nourishing yourself and consuming those calories, the hypothalamus works overtime to restore the balance to the body through the process of hunger. You're making your body work twice as hard, and when you're making other parts of your body work so hard, it's difficult for the brain to work hard and retain any information or even help you focus on reading the information. The cells of your brain rely on energy from food just like any other cell in the body. None of this is going to make studying for any college student any easier. 70% of nearly 19,000 students surveyed that they were stressed out about their finances. 6 in 10 were worried about tuition costs. 6 out of 10 students going to school are stressed out about how they're going to put themselves through school. That is a huge amount. And just even a little more government assistance, not only through financial aid, but even food share benefits or health insurance is a huge one, could help our students be more successful and have a better retention rate while they're in college. One in 5 students surveyed that they owed more than $30,000 in student debt at a time, and the same number expect to owe $50,000 or more by the time they graduate. Anything over $50,000 is a huge number at that rate, are you even going to be able to pay that off in your lifetime, considering the fact that once you graduate, along comes all the extra bills, the rent, the health insurance out of the paycheck, your food, your car insurance, car payment. Life gets real, and it gets real quick. When you have that kind of debt holding you down, how are you going to make ends meet? 1 in 5 students surveyed that financial distress was significantly associated with their depressive symptoms. And 21% of students reported a high level of financial distress, also reported a high level of depressive symptoms, which ties into mental health. Another reason why we need more financial support for college students is to maintain their mental wellness while they're in college. 36.4% of college students reported that they experienced some level of depression. It's not a huge rate, but any depression symptoms can completely stop a person's life and make even the smallest tasks difficult. Depression is the number one reason why students drop out of school, and is a gateway issue. If left untreated, could lead to other symptoms or even suicide. And now suicide is the second leading cause among college students based on the American College Health Association report. That is extremely scary, that it's able to climb the ladder so much. Of all the mental disorders, individuals suffering from eating disorders have the highest mortality rate. Think about, not being able to afford your dinner and starving. That can eventually lead to death, which is really scary. Nearly 60% of college students have consumed alcohol in the past month, and nearly 2 out of 3 students engaged in binge drinking during the same period. And all college students are guilty of having a little fun and partying. However, once you hit a depressive stage and you rely on that drinking, again, it's not going to benefit your studying or grades or help you maintain any college scholarships or aid that you have going for yourself, which will only in end dig you into a deeper hole. Also, stress gets ugly. Stress is the top factor negatively influencing academic performance, according to a 2012 survey of 90,000 students. That is a huge amount of students to survey, and college students tend to eat more high-calorie foods and fail to get enough physical activity while under stress. And that mentally will wear you down. You don't have the energy than when you're on those kinds of diets, and it makes it hard for you to still get up and go to school and function and stay up late. All your body really wants to do when you're stressed out is shut down and sleep. 60% of students have pulled at least one all-nighter during their college careers. Unfortunately, sleepless nights are correlated with a lower GPA. When you think about those sleepless nights, your brain is not maintaining any of that information because it doesn't have the energy to retain it. Sleep deprivation leads to taking prescription and over-the-counter recreational drugs to alter sleep or wakefulness. Again, making focusing on classes very difficult. And most of those sleep deprivation pills or prescriptions cost a lot of money and are very unsafe for college students to consume without a prescription. Financial aid is just not cutting it anymore. Students need more help. Creating more support will relieve the burden to these already stressed out students. Success depends on their financial, their mental, and their physical health all in sync. It's a domino effect. Once one falls out, the rest are sure to follow. Financial aid resources and school budgets are decreasing every year. So every year, more and more students are working more and more jobs just to be able to afford their education. It takes a village to raise a kid, and those in college are still kids. literally takes a village to help support them. That is why I believe that the government should look into extra funding for college students. A lot of these college students cannot be provided for by their families anymore. It's time for them to step out on their own and survive for themselves. But how can you do that with the cost of living rising every year and the cost of tuition rising along with it? And financial aid does not take that into consideration. My name's Jessica, and thank you so much for listening to my speech.